Welcome to the Mothering with Jesus podcast, where we are real and raw about the ups and downs of motherhood and where we rally together to become the mothers that God intended us to be. I'm your host, Layna Massey, and today is a solo cast, so it is just me. And I'm going to be chatting about mindset and how God has nudged me over the years to think about things differently, and I really hope that it will be helpful for you. Let's dive in. This podcast is brought to you by Oliveda. Did you know that 75% of your skincare is probably filled with water? And when we add water to a product, we also have to add preservatives. And these preservatives can be irritating and damaging to our skin. Oliveda is a clean, waterless beauty skincare company. And they also are coming out with makeup this fall, which I'm super excited about. I've been using Oliveda products since October of 2023, and I have noticed a huge difference in my skin. It has helped so much with my hydration, my skin tone, and hyperpigmentation problems. And I know it will help you too. You can look in the show notes to purchase, and you can always direct message me on Instagram at Mothering with Jesus podcast, and we can set up a skincare regimen for your specific skincare concerns. I can't wait to see you glow. Okay, so this has been on my mind a lot lately. I don't know if you're familiar with life coaching, but I've had a few life coaches on the podcast. And for those of you who are not familiar, the life coach school was founded by a lady named Brooke Castillo, and she has just this model of how to address things in your life that might be blocking you from being a better person. And essentially, you just start with your thoughts, you recognize what your thoughts are, and then you change your thoughts in order to change how you feel about something, and then you change your actions and your results because you're choosing to think about things differently. Okay, so this is the life coaching. And I'm actually not going to talk about that today. I think life coaching is really cool, and it has benefited me and people that I know in just astounding ways. But today I'm going to talk about how God is a life coach, how he has been my life coach over the years, and how he has helped me through this process, through this model, even though I was unaware of the model, right? Like God knows the model. He knew it before Brooke Castillo knew it. Anyway, so I was thinking back to multiple times in my life where I'm having an issue and God literally just nudges me to look at it from a different perspective, and how just that small shift, that small point in a different direction has helped me so much. So let's just dive into a few of them that have really been beneficial for me. One of the first ones that comes to mind and helped me so much was during my teenage years. So this is kind of a rough time for some people, right? Life can be a little bit confusing, and I grew up in a home that was amazing, and I had amazing parents and such a beautiful childhood. And my mom was very strict and had really high expectations for us, but she wasn't one to like be really cozy or like overly friendly. Like, she just believed in just a stricter, more traditional way of parenting, which was fantastic and kept me out of a lot of trouble and gave me really happy, safe teenage years. But I do know that during this time, I would say that Satan tempted me to just have like doubting thoughts of like, okay, does my mom really love me? Feeling insecure about our relationship. And it was really neat how over the years, God just put like new thoughts in my mind. And instead of thinking, okay, does she love me? I chose to think, how is my mom showing me that she loved me? And recognizing small things like she changed my sheets every Tuesday, and she made dinner every single day for us. She was just so consistent at having dinner and having a clean home and an organized home. And she sacrificed so much for all of us. I'm the youngest of 8 children, and she, despite not being overly affectionate, was showing us through so much service how much she cared for us. She didn't have like outside friends or like hobbies or a job or anything. Like, she devoted all of her time and energy into making our house beautiful and having family home evenings with us and teaching us the gospel. And it was just really neat to have that experience of God saying, wait a minute, maybe you're not seeing this correctly. Maybe you could look at this from a new perspective and feel really differently. Another one that comes to mind recently is I have 4 little babies, and having my 4th child, not necessarily the child, but just having 4 humans that I need to take care of has definitely been a big adjustment for me, harder than any of the other transitions of 1 to 2 and 2 to 3. And having these 4 babies, all under 8, who are really young and need so much from me, I definitely have fallen into the trap of thinking, I'm overwhelmed, I'm overwhelmed, I'm overwhelmed. And even though that might be true to some degree, I just heard the Spirit whisper to me to think instead what a privilege it is to care for these children. Literally, the words that came to my mind was like, this is the new thought you need to replay on your mind. It is a privilege to care for you, little one. And that thought is so powerful, so grounding. It just brings me right back into why I'm doing this, why I'm a mother, that this is what I want, that this is what I hoped for, this is what I dreamed for. And just, again, just one little shift, instead of thinking I'm overwhelmed, thinking this is a privilege to care for this small human, is so powerful. Another one that comes to mind is sometimes I find myself in situations where I'm meeting, I don't know if I'm extroverted or introverted. I don't know. I can never decide. But I definitely get some social anxiety, or I don't know, just like I feel stressed out sometimes and would rather just be in my house. But I find sometimes if I'm like with my husband and we're meeting one of his friends and his friend's wife, and, like, or a group of people, that I tend to just kind of go inward and be a little bit shyer. And just the other day, I recognized, like, wait, I felt God again nudging me to think about this a little bit differently. When I'm going into these situations, I'm thinking about myself, and I'm not thinking about how to make the other people around me feel comfortable or be interested in their lives. That I'm just focusing on me, and I'm focusing on how uncomfortable I feel and making myself feel more uncomfortable, because that's what I'm focusing on, right? So again, there's a little switch. Okay, how's everybody else feeling? How can I bring light to this situation and make somebody else feel at ease and comforted? Another one that came up for me recently, this might be TMI, but with physical intimacy with my husband, I would assume that other of you ladies have maybe felt this same way, that it can be kind of a chore. It can be hard mentally to get myself in that state of mind. And lately, I just felt God nudging me again to think about this in a new way. And this is a funny one, but the thought that came to me was just like, I'm young, and in 40 years, this is not going to be, I don't know. In all honesty, I do not know what physical intimacy looks like as one ages. Okay. I don't know. I've never talked to my parents about this, and I don't know. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know how that works. I don't know if people continue to do that into their older ages. but I'm imagining that you probably do. And if you do, it's probably not as comfy or as easy because our bodies just get older, okay? So here I am just thinking, I am young, I am limber, I am chipper, I can do this. And it's going to be easier now than it's going to be in 10, 20, 30, 40 years. So I'm just going to enjoy this now because I don't want to be 80 and wish that I had, been better at being physically intimate at a younger age. So maybe that will help you too. That one really made me chuckle, but my husband was very pleased about this mindset shift. He's all behind this mindset shift. Also, another tip on that, if you can manage in any way to have sexy time before it is nighttime, it is so helpful. If you can do an afternoon delight or a morning momentum, it's gonna be just much better than a midnight snack because it is just I'm so tired by the end of the day. So if any of you can relate to that, do what you need to do to try to make earlier in the day work out. Okay. Another one that I have talked about a little bit on my Instagram. I did a couple of reels about this, and this is about laundry. So, to be honest, I have hated laundry. I've had the roughest relationship with laundry. For some reason, it is just like that one task that just used to be so much, used to feel so overwhelming and just like impossible. And I realized that it was because I was expecting to be done at some point. Like that the laundry would just be done. But realistically, the thing about laundry and dishes and cleaning and caring for our children and caring for our own physical health and spiritual health is we're never done. It's never going to end. For the rest of our lives, we are going to be doing all of these things. It's more of like a revolving door scenario where you have some laundry that's done, some laundry that's sitting in baskets, some laundry that's wandering around on small humans, and some that's in the washing machine. And it is just constantly a flow of doing this work. And when I realized that, just that little shift of like, okay, I'm never going to be done with it. So what can I do in order to move through it and put systems into place that are going to serve me better so that I'm not always feeling behind or frustrated, resentful about the laundry. Okay, I've had a lot of shifts about laundry. So let's dive into a few of them. Another one is shifting from, oh, I have to do this to gratitude for my washing machine and my dryer because I think about my sweet grandma who lived in Canada and would have washed her clothing and everything. I believe she had a washing machine, but she did not have a dryer. And so she would have had to go out into the windy, freezing cold at times and go and hang up her laundry on her clotheslines. And great grandmas before that who were literally hand washing all of their clothing, and my own mother and father who were hand washing cloth diapers and hanging them to dry. And just that little shift of like, okay, yes, this is annoying. Yes, there's a lot of clothing. Yes, this is something that's never going to end. But also, I am very blessed with a very easy, easy way to do laundry. And another shift that I had, I'm telling you, the Lord has had to work with me on the laundry because I just had such a bad attitude about it. So another one was there was one day it dawned on me that this actually doesn't take as long as I'm making it out to be in my mind. So I had this huge load of laundry on the floor of my closet, which was very typical at the time. And I had this load and I was like, I'm going to time myself because maybe it doesn't actually take as long as I think it does. So I turned on a timer and started folding this laundry, and I had to stop and wipe someone's bottom while I was doing it and was interrupted a couple times. But even still, and I wasn't trying to go fast. Like, I was just trying to do it realistically of how I would put away the laundry. I wasn't in speed mode or anything. And even then, the laundry only took me 7 minutes to put away, one load with interruptions. Amazing. So once I had like a few of these little mindset shifts, it really helped me to recognize that laundry wasn't so bad after all. And then I would like to share with you a few laundry tips that have helped a lot. So I've adapted this from my older sisters. Well, first I'll back up. My mother, again, going back to how well she kept up our home, she was very organized and had systems in place. Brilliant lady. And she did Monday and Thursday were wash day just for like all the loads. You know, she'd do whites, darks, and colors. And then on Tuesdays was the sheets and towel day. And so she was just doing laundry those 3 days a week, and she just cruised through it all and was a champ, which is awesome. And I had tried to implement this, but it just didn't work out for me and my personality, which is totally fine. And then several years ago, I heard my older sisters, both of them, I believe, I don't know if they still do this, but I think so. I think they still both do a load every day, and they just throw in everyone's clothing and just are constantly washing, just doing little loads every day. And honestly, when I heard this idea, I was very against it. I was like, that sounds nuts. I do not want to be doing laundry every day. I hate that stuff. But after several months of resistance, I tried it, and it has been so helpful. And then I got out of the habit, but I've gotten back into the habit again, and it is so, so good. So here's my system right now that is working splendidly. So every day, I've talked about this before, another little nudge at a motherhood tip. At night, when your children are getting ready for bed, get yourself ready for bed too. If you don't have anywhere else to go, 7 o'clock rolls around, get ready for bed with your children. I send mine away to go put on their pajamas, and then I go put on my pajamas and I wash my face. If I do not wash my face at this time, it is very hard to wash my face and do my skincare and actually take that time to get ready for bed, because I get way too tired if I wait until I'm actually going to bed. So get on your comfies and take your clothes you wore that day and everybody's clothes that they wore that day, and throw them in the washing machine. It'll also have the pajamas of everybody from the night before. And so then I just make myself do that laundry and move it along before I go to bed. Then when I wake up, all those clean clothes are in the dryer, and my girls and I grab, it's literally one outfit and one pair of pajamas, and we put it away, and it's so simple. And definitely have your children help with laundry. It also helps make it way less overwhelming. And the quick, simple loads like this have been so helpful for them, because imagine me as an adult, those huge loads of laundry are so overwhelming. And same for the little tiny nuggets. If you give them a big, huge pile on their bed, they're just going to be like, oh my gosh, this is a lot. They're capable of doing it that way too. We did it like that way for a long time. But this they have enjoyed a lot. And I have the older ones help with the younger children's clothing, and that is such a blessing as well. So implement that if you can. I have an 8-year-old who helps with the baby's clothing, and the 6-year-old helps with the 3-year-old's clothing. And the baby obviously doesn't help at all, but the 3-year-old has just started helping. She can fold rags, and she can put away her underwear, and she can at least pick up her clothes and take it to her room. So just have them start helping in those small ways. And I really have noticed that with the older children, it was really hard to start setting these patterns. But now that we have the toddler and the baby, and they're watching the older sisters do all of these daily things that we're doing, they just jump in so easily. Like the 3-year-old doesn't complain. She's just like, yep, laundry time, and starts doing it. So It's never too late, but if you can, with your older children, start setting patterns of how you want your household to be ran, because it will just set the tone for the younger children to come along. So that has been so helpful with the laundry. And then as far as like, I do the sheets and towels on Tuesday, carrying on my mother's tradition. It just is simple to remember. Nice to have a set day of when to do it. And my garments and my husband's garments, obviously, I do those in a separate load. And even those I try to do every 3 to 4 days again. So they're just a really small little load that doesn't feel overwhelming. And I personally just throw all of my girls' clothing together. I don't worry about lights and darks and colors. If I have something that's particularly delicate or really light colored, then I'll throw it in with our garments or create its little special load. And then, of course, there's always like rags and tablecloths and random things that just get hucked in their own loads as needed. But I just have found it to be so helpful to just have the washing machine running every day and just have it going along. So maybe that will help you, maybe not. Maybe you like the big loads and whatever works for you. But I do really believe that shifting our thoughts a little bit about these kind of mundane tasks that we have to do can be so helpful. And I'm so thankful that God is so caring and so involved in our lives that he really will nudge us towards better thoughts and better systems and better priorities in order to make our lives easier. Another routine that I have just started up lately is, if you listen to my last episode with Shailene Moffat in it, she was sharing about their morning routine, and she talked about having charts, which I over the years have tried all sorts of different charts, and some have worked, some haven't worked. But since I talked to her several weeks ago, I started implementing new charts again for our morning routine. And in that podcast, she talked about having a chart herself and having the kids see her chart and just having it be more of a team effort, that everybody recognizes that we all have things that we need to be doing in the morning. And so I made my girls all new charts and myself a chart, and it has been really awesome. I have absolutely loved having a chart for myself. I've always had just like this little checklist in my head of just like, scriptures, exercise, get ready. And so it has just been amazing to have this little chart and to hold myself accountable. And what I've decided to do is I have things on this chart. So I have scriptures, exercise, prayer, and then I have reading to my girls, making breakfast, and laundry, and a few other things. And it has just been so helpful to looking at this chart and only doing those things. Because if you're anything like me, you might get up and it might be kind of like if you give a mouse a cookie and I open up a drawer to grab something for someone. And then I'm like, hey, this drawer needs to be organized. So then I start organizing this drawer. And then I find something in this drawer that needs to be fixed. And I'm like, oh yeah, I should glue this back together. And then here I am gluing something together. And I'm doing a lot of things. Like, I'm not just sitting on my phone or laying on the couch. Like, I am doing things, but they're maybe not the priority, or they're maybe not the best way to be using my time in that moment. And so I have really loved having this chart and having things on it that I didn't have on my mental list before, like laundry or making breakfast. And then I just am holding myself accountable to actually start my morning the way that I want to and do the things that really are a priority and that are going to set me up for the rest of the day, rather than gluing together a little toy or reorganizing a cupboard, which are fabulous things, but they're going to be better if I do those in the afternoon after I've already set myself up with my morning momentum routine. Anyway, so definitely try out the chart thing and just do some trial and error and figure out what needs to be on your chart and what doesn't. And it can be really helpful. And I have loved watching my girls this time around. Like I said, I've done different chart systems at different times, but this one they're really owning. And some of them have chosen to add things to their chart that I didn't have on there. And they just have done a really good job at jumping on their chart in the morning and getting their things done. So try out the chart. Another thing I heard a while back was that like having your kitchen clean, I think is what I think it was a reel or something. I can't remember what it was, exactly what I saw. But the idea was like, clean your kitchen. You deserve to have a clean kitchen for the next day. And I 100% agree with this. But it could be anything. Maybe for you, it's not your kitchen. I don't know. Whatever it is that helps set you up for the next day, I think is so important to think about the night before. So like I said, with my laundry, getting my laundry done the night before is really going to set us up for the morning. Another one that is like a must for me is starting the dishwasher. If I wake up and I forgot to start the dishwasher, then it really stinks the next morning. Literally. And it just really, really stinks to not be able to have a spot to put the dirty dishes in and you're waiting for it to go. It just is bad news. So get your washer started. I love having all my dirty dishes in there. It really does suck to leave dirty dishes in the sink overnight too. Obviously here and there, things happen. You get too tired. You have a crappy day. No one's a robot. We're not going to keep up on these things all the time. But if, 80, 90% of the time you can do this, it's really going to set you up to have a better day. And I think the whole goal behind all this is like, as we're choosing to own our household and run our household in a successful way, it opens up energy and time for us to be the mothers that we want to be, to intentionally take the children to the park or go and just do fun activities or go run errands or do whatever we need to do and still have our house feel like a beautiful, happy place. So we got this, ladies. I know that housework can be daunting, especially when we have young little babies, but it is so worth it. Okay, I'm going to refer back to another podcast that I did with Erica Wilkinson. This is episode 5 called God Will Fill in the Gaps. Go back and listen to that one if you haven't. It has been my most popular episode by far. It's so good. Erica is such a sweetie. It's such a gem. But in that podcast, she shares about a women's conference back in 2010 with Julie B. Beck. And if you go, I'll put it in the show notes of this one too. It's also in the show notes of episode 5. But it's just a little PDF about this talk by Julie B. Beck. And it's so good. And in it, she talks a lot about priorities. And I'm going to share with you a little part of it. So first, she talks about how women are the lionesses at the gate of their home. Whatever happens in that home and family happens because she cares about it and it matters to her. She guards the gate, and things matter to that family if they matter to her. For example, if the lioness of that gate believes in the law of tithing, tithing will be paid in that family. If that family has a humble little portion of 10 pesos coming in, that lioness will safeguard the 1 peso if tithing is important to her. If that lioness at the gate knows about renewing her baptismal covenants with God, she will be in sacrament meeting on Sunday, and she will prepare her children to be there. They will be washed, cleaned, combed, and taught about the meaning and what happens there. It isn't a casual event, but it is serious to her, and it will be serious to them. The lioness at the gate ensures that temple worship is taken care of in the family. She encourages that participation. She cares about seeking after her ancestors. If the lioness at the gate knows about and understands missions, missionaries, and the mission of the house of Israel, she will prepare future missionaries to go out from that home. It is very difficult to get a lion cub away from a lioness who doesn't believe in missions. But if the lioness believes in a mission, she will devote her life to preparing the cub to go out and serve the Lord. That's how important she is. Service happens if she cares about it. Sisters, you are each like the lioness at the gate. That means that there has to be some prioritizing. I was taught years ago that when our priorities are out of order, we lose power. If we need power and influence to carry out our mission, then our priorities have to be straight. Oh my gosh, isn't that so good? I am going to keep reading, but I love that we are lionesses, and I just love all of the perspective of that. That like this is why we have to get our priorities straight. This is why we have to think about things correctly. This is why the Lord nudges us to put systems into place, to have schedules, to have correct, truthful thoughts about things so that we can create this home environment and be intentional and be the mothers who our children need and who God needs us to be so that we can send them out to do amazing things in the world. So then she goes on to say, years ago, I began using a system that works for me and maybe it will work for you. There was a time when I needed to prioritize. And in one of those sacred meetings between me and the Lord, make sure you're having your sacred meetings, ladies. He gave me 3 categories that I have worked from, and they have been a guide in my life. The categories are the essential things, the necessary things, and the nice to do things. I started writing those 3 things down. I asked, what has to go in the category of essential? What things must be taken care of? And if I don't take care of them, the blessings of eternal life won't be mine, nor will they be my family's. Okay, so this is exactly what I'm talking about with like your morning routine, how I found myself just kind of doing random things and being tossed to and fro and not actually doing the things that I want to spend my time doing. I want to make sure that I'm reading my scriptures and saying my prayers every single day, that I'm feeding my children breakfast, that I am exercising, that I am doing the laundry, staying on top of that, because I know if I get behind in that, it starts to stress me out. When I'm stressed out, then I'm not as good of a mom as I could be. So really prioritizing what are the things in your morning that are going to make it fabulous. Meg Miles, she is on Instagram. If you don't follow her, go follow her. She's amazing, but she always says, win the morning, win the day. And this plays through my mind frequently because I've just heard her say it so many times. And it's so true. If you win your morning, then you win your day. You are just setting yourself up for success and giving yourself opportunities to do things that you want to do the extra things that need to get done. Just kind of going here and there and doing things, but not necessarily doing the most important things. So some of the things that Sister Beck put on her essential list was revelation, personal prayer, taking time to ponder and fast, making covenants, keeping covenants, going to sacrament meeting, repenting each week, going to the temple and fulfilling that responsibility frequently became essential, sharing the gospel. Then she says, on my necessary list went some other things. I started thinking about my home and my family and what was necessary to create an environment or climate where the Spirit of the Lord would be. There were some necessary things to take care of. Homemaking took on a new meaning for me. I wanted to make a home where the Spirit of the Lord was present. That meant even mundane tasks like picking up things and cleaning became necessary to keep a house of order. I wanted to model my house after the temple. Though this is the ideal, it has never been that perfect. We have to live there after all. A house is peopled with people. People make messes, and we can't be little soldiers. But it made a difference to me to know that I wanted a house of order. It became a priority to make a place where the Spirit of the Lord could come. Cooking meals for my family took on added meaning because I needed a place to teach and gather and have the Spirit of the Lord there. It was important to invest my effort in making a home. Being happy around my family and other people was necessary. And then she goes on through things that are necessary. And then the nice to do things are crafts and hobbies and recreational reading and movies and travel and lunches with friends. A lot of women call these time out. These things won't save us. They add variety to our lives, but they won't save us. When our priorities are on that list and our time is devoted to those nice to do things, our priorities are out of order and we lose power. I 100% agree with this, that we lose power if we are not keeping our priorities in check and doing the things that will save us. I love that there are a lot of nice to do things. There are a lot of things that add variety and wonderfulness into our lives. But if we are not doing the priorities first, we usually don't have time for the nice to do things. And this is something that I found for me was if I just get up and kind of, do things here and there as they come, then I'm still doing all those things all day long. And we never get out of the house. We never get to go hiking. We never get to go do any of the fun things that I want to do, the nice to do things. We're just forever taking care of things in the house because the house is endless. I don't know if your house is like mine. I don't even have like a majorly huge house or anything, but I just feel like the organizing and the cleaning is endless. Like I could just keep going forever and ever because there's forever somebody behind me undoing what I'm doing. So it has to be done, but there has to be some method to the madness. Otherwise, you just get ruled by your home if you're anything like me. So I hope that some of these thoughts and some of Sister Beck's words and the way she set up her priorities can be inspiring to you and help you reevaluate what you're doing with your time and your energy. I just keep thinking over the last few months, like, how do I really want to be spending my time? What do I want to do with my days? These days are fleeting. And how do I really want them to look? I know I shared this in the last podcast too, but like for me, one of my weaknesses is just like grumpiness. Like Satan just wants me to be grumpy. And it can be so easy to just slip into this place of grumpiness. And so I just keep thinking of what can I do to switch up how I'm living my life so I'm not just going into grumpiness and being ruled by my to-do list and instead owning my to-do list, getting my things done, setting up my morning how I want my morning to be set up in order to win the rest of the day and do the things that I really want to be doing with my children, like being outside and reading books together and traveling and all the fun things that are available to us. And with conference last week, I just, again, am just feeling this urgency to move the work of the Lord forward. And I don't know if anybody else felt that as well. And especially rereading President Nelson's talk. And man, the Lord is coming, people. We got to be ready. We got to have our houses in order and our priorities in order. And what a joyous time. What a joyous time to live in and a joyous time to be a mother. So I hope that we can all remember that. Even through the mundane and the ups and downs of it all, that we can remember that this truly is a joyous time and that our Savior is our strength. He's our rock. And He's coming back. When He comes back, He's going to recognize us because we are powerful mothers. And we are choosing to be the lionesses in our homes who care about the things that matter most, who have their priorities straight, who are helping to rear and raise amazing, resilient, faithful children who are also going to recognize their Savior when He comes. And it's so easy to get distracted in, all the fluff of life and with all of myriad ways that Satan tries to distract us. Setting up your priorities can help you to focus in on your life and allowing the Lord to nudge you and shift your mindset so that you can think about things more positively and clearly, then you're going to do great. We're going to do amazing things. I hope that you got something out of this podcast. I challenge you to go and write down the inspiration you felt. Go write down the ways that you're going to change, some things you're going to do a little bit differently, some things you're going to experiment with in order to have your house run smoother and prioritize your relationship with God. And I love you, ladies. We're doing it. You're amazing. I am forever cheering you on in your motherhood.